Today marks International Nurses Day, and many nurses in the country say that they have no reason to celebrate, actually. They've been struggling with a multitude of issues, including the termination of contracts and poor working conditions. As it stands, we're told about 500 nurses in Bisho, in the Eastern Cape, are unemployed due to these contract terminations. Let's get you more on this now. Bring in professional nurse Nomvo Makata, who's actually one of the affected nurses by some of these issues. She joins us via our telephone line. Nomvo, it's lovely to have you on the program. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us. And it's such a pity we don't have too many great things to say on this International Nurses Day, despite the work that nurses continue to do in this country. Help us understand a bit better the plight of these 500 nurses in Bisho.
If you remember, in the previous year, we had an issue with when we finished our community service, we were unemployed. The department said that they did not have money to employ us, and we had a march demonstration outside the head offices of the Department of Health. And after the interview that I had with you guys, on the following week, we received letters that gave us permanent employment. And we thought because of what happened then that the government would better strategize and not have the same issue occurring in the coming years. But in March this year again, nurses, about 637 nurses were given termination letters upon completing their community service, telling them that there is no money to employ them. There was a march demonstration on the 9th of March, and then on the 22nd of March, throughout the whole week, nurses were sleeping outside, calling for the attention of the head of the department and the NEC of Health. There were meetings that were held with the SG, Dr. Wagner, and the NEC, Mamuno Makata, and in these meetings, nurses and other people in the health department were complaining of having their contracts terminated. And more so, the community service nurses were saying that they were recruited by the government and were given bursaries to study. And in those bursaries, they were told that upon completing their studies, they would be given employment. But it was not so. And the head of the department even went as far as to say that what was happening in the previous years, that when the nurses completed their contracts, they would be given permanent employment, was unlawful. Sure. And it came as a shock to us because this has been done over a number of years and not only in the Eastern Cape province. So it came as shocking that who discovered that this process was unlawful. And why were people not alerted in time? Because we were only told this on the 23rd of March in a meeting with the head of the department. And when we inquired that who investigated this, she said that she got legal opinion that how the processes of employing these nurses were done were unlawful. And when we inquired about this legal opinion, she could not provide it to us, and then she read to us a document from the DPSA highlighting that according to the Public Service Act and the Labor Relations Act, the processes that were done in the previous years by the SGs that came before her, because she's actually new in the department as an SG. She said that it highlights that the document from the DPSA highlights that the processes of employing nurses after training them is unlawful.
All right. So, sorry to come in there. If that is to be true, what is to be said about the other nurses who were employed after completing their community service in the past?
Exactly our question, because I and the other nurses who came before me, who were training in the Lilita College of Nursing in the Eastern Cape, that is the government nursing college, and even in the universities in the Eastern Cape where people were studying with the bursary of the Department of Health, we were employed after we completed our community service. So she says that the manner in which we were employed was unlawful. And the department said that these laws came into effect in 2016. But people have been employed in such a way from 2016 until 2021. Right. It is only now in 2022 that we are being told that the processes of employing these nurses has been
So as you and I speak on this Thursday morning, on what's meant to be, or what is International Nurses Day, where are these 600 plus nurses who've completed their community service and are now waiting for employment?
The nurses are currently sitting at home. Various hospitals who had posts for permanent employment did employ some of these nurses, but it's a very few number, as I was saying that it's about 637 nurses who completed their ComServe, and more than 500 right now are unemployed, and they were told that they would be employed on a fixed-term contract basis, a contract that will be ending in March 2023. And that contract also was an agreement that came out from the meetings that we had with them, because we were outlining to them that these nurses going to sit at home and being unemployed is uncalled for. And the fact that the head of the department is saying that the recruitment processes that we've done in the past is unlawful is not something that we can take at face value. We need thorough investigations and interrogations of the contracts that the people signed as students and the laws and the acts that they are now saying are deeming those processes unlawful.
Yeah.
So a task team was formed comprising of us, nurses, and our union, and the head of the department. So the task team has set 2 meetings, and in the task team mainly we are interrogating the contracts that the people signed as students, because those contracts have a service obligation clause highlighting that upon completion of community service, the department will allocate the students, meaning employ them. And we even made example that in the South African Police Service, when people are recruited and trained and then employed as police, and even in the South African National Defence Force, people are recruited, trained, and then employed as soldiers. So why are they now saying that when it's done with nursing, it's unlawful, that they may spend millions training nurses? At the end of the day, they are going to say they can't employ because the processes that we've done in the past are unlawful.
Right. It's why spend all that money if you're not going to make the most of the extra capacity that these nurses could essentially bring into the system? I've completely got you on that. Nomvo, a day like this is meant to be about celebrating nurses in South Africa, but sadly what it's done in our conversation is bringing to sharp focus the many issues, long-standing challenges that nurses like yourself continue to face. How would you describe what being in the nursing profession in this country feels like, even on a day like this?
Being a nurse in South Africa does not feel like you are liberated at all. Because if you look at the founder of this day, because on this day it's Florence Nightingale's birthday, the founder of our nursing, and from when you read up on her history and the fact that she set a tone for our profession, and she wrote a number of books and improved nursing conditions and the institutions where people were nursed, you can see that she was someone who was liberated. She was someone who could make a difference. Even the theme for this year, it says a voice to lead for nurses. But right now you can see that we are not in position of leading in our community. You can see that we are being suppressed and oppressed in some way if we have to actually go and demonstrate for employment, because our institutions are short-staffed. So for us who are in the institutions who are permanent, we are also not happy, because when we are short-staffed, it means more work on us. And they're always telling us that money is going towards litigations, but what is the root of litigation?
Yeah.
Because if we are short-staffed, we are going to be fatigued, and there's going to be room to make mistakes. People go to clinics and go to hospitals, and they wait hours to be attended to because we are short-staffed. And it's not only us nurses, but even doctors and other health practitioners. Our institutions are short-staffed. And instead of trying to mitigate that and employing enough staff so that people can get quality care and people can be cared for in good time, our government is not doing that. We have a number of people who are unemployed, and it's not a happy day for us.
Sure.
A lot of people have been saying that they will not even attend these events because there's nothing to be happy about. Even with our cleaners, as a nurse, you have to nurse patients and then you have to turn around and clean. reality of the situation that is happening right now.
An outpouring of frustration. Nomvo Makata, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Such a pity that this is the sentiment that comes through on this International Nurses Day. But if that's the reality, then surely our responsibility is to shine a spotlight on it. Nomvo, once again, thanks very much for speaking to us.